Impact Wrestling fans, I'm back once again. I am still sick, so please bear with me. I'm here to talk about my takeaways from the latest episode of Impact Wrestling, the latest episode of Impact on Pop. Feel free to hit that subscribe button for more wrestling related content, reactions, breakdowns, takeaways, everything. So I'm about to get right on into it with these takeaways from the latest episode of Impact on Pop. So first up, we had Pentagon and Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers versus Willie Mack and Rich Swann. And look, man, y'all know how I am. When I see, sometimes you just see guys and you just think automatically, banger. This is going to be a banger of a match. And that's what you think when you get the Lucha Brothers and Willie Mack. The takeaway from this is that the Lucha Brothers and Willie Mack and Rich Swann is money. Just a fantastic match here. I wrestled at a high pace, fast pace. I love that from the X Division. And just a phenomenal match. I got a lot of time at that. And I got to say that double stump fear factor on the apron to Rich Swann was just sick. I'm like, okay, Rich Swann is either done or dead, one of the two. And it was just a fantastic match. I enjoyed every bit of it. Lucha Brothers, Willie Mack, Rich Swann, money. The Lucha Brothers is going to win as they hit a series of moves. And it was just a fantastic match. I loved every single bit of it. The show got off into an excellent start. So the next takeaway I have written down here, and I have written down, and as I wrote some of these down during the course of the show, I wrote this one down during the course of the show. LAX, our Lucha Brothers, I have this written down. Give it to me, baby. In the infamous words of Rick James, give it to me, baby. LAX came down. They talked about who was next for the tag team titles. Who would they face off with next? And the crowd started chanting LAX, Lucha Brothers. They couldn't even get it out yet. And we had a match made for Homecoming. I was so excited until I realized that Phoenix is hurt. And that is such a letdown, man. I've been wanting LAX versus the Lucha Brothers for like the entire year, it feels like. And we finally get it in. Phoenix is hurt and out for 2018. So we'll see how they pull that off. There are plenty of guys that they can fill in with Pentagon, and still it will be an excellent match. So we'll see how that all turns out. This is not a takeaway, but Conan still got it as far as promos. That'll never leave Conan. Got on LAX about how things like this killed Juventud Guerrero and Rey Mysterio's relationship. And he was very upset with them that they cashed in on this challenge, on this title shot with the Lucha Brothers. So I'm interested to see how it all plays out with Conan and LAX and the Lucha Brothers. Where will Conan side with? Who will he side with? This will be very interesting. So, my next takeaway is that Jordynne Grace should be more dominant. Like, we got Jordynne Grace versus Katarina, and for their first match, I thought Katarina got in too much offense, and this one, she got in more offense. I think that these matches should be showcase matches for Jordynne Grace, but the upside to it is that I saw more of Jordynne Grace's offense. She has a fantastic spine buster, a legitimate, and this is coming from a 90s wrestling guy, a legitimate double A on Anderson spine buster. I saw a lot more of her offense as well, even though I think that this should be more of a showcase, more of a squash, if I'm being honest, for Jordynne Grace. Kind of like what they did with Brian Cage when he first entered with Impact Wrestling. They got him a bunch of squashes to get indoctrinated into Impact Wrestling, to get familiar with the fans. And I think that should be the case with Jordynne Grace. But she did pick up the victory with the bear hug. We'll see how her booking goes going forward. Next takeaway is that KM and Falaba can be very hit or miss at times. And I think that they were more miss than hit with this segment. We got them down in the dumps, and 7 minutes later, they went out on the town, and they lost money, and they were still down in the dumps. We got a Scarlett Bordeaux appearance, And she said that they were at the bottom of the barrel instead of at the top to impress her. This segment was meh at best. I didn't really enjoy it all of that much. But my next takeaway is that I am excited for Tessa Blanchard and Taya Valkyrie. We got a glorified squash match with Taya Valkyrie and versus Ray Lynn. And after that, Tessa Blanchard came down like a house of fire. The walking mean streak. Current Knockouts champion Tessa Blanchard laying out the referee and choking him out. You know, Tessa Blanchard just has it out for these referees. Referee got all tough with her and got all up in her face. You know what? Tessa Blanchard took it out on referees, and she wasn't having any of that. Choked them out. And it took Gail Kim coming down out of nowhere to get her off of the referee. And Taya Valkyrie got a nice spear off of Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard hightailed it out of the ring. I'm very excited for this match. I get the feeling that something fluky is going to happen. Some extra stuff is going to happen with this referee business. And I hate that. I hope that nothing extra happened. But with the referees going at Tessa, with Tessa going back at the referees, I get that something is going to go down. Something extra is going to go down. I just hope that doesn't happen. We'll see how it turns out. Next up, I got that. The next takeaway, is that Impact's production team is just A1. Just phenomenal. With the Brian Cage segment and with the Johnny Impact segment as well, they've done a fantastic job. And also, we've seen something extra with Johnny Impact and Killer Cross. You know, I think that something is going to go down with Johnny Impact versus Brian Cage as well. We got Killer Cross in there. He talked about how Johnny Impact, needed his help because Brian Cage said that he would go and do anything to get that title. So Johnny Impact brushed him off with ease, and we'll see what goes down with Killer Cross and Johnny Impact. We're building towards something, and something is going to go down with that Johnny Impact and Killer Cross matchup. We'll see how it all turns out. So my next takeaway is that I am all in with the Rascals. I thought that the opening segment, the debuting segment of the Rascals, was kind of, at first I thought it was kind of cheesy, but I let it settle in, and you know what? I went back to watch it. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this. It got a That 70s Show vibe, and the round circle, the smoke, and I thought it was kind of funny. But looking at the match this week, I thought that this was a solid showcase of the Rascals, kind of differing from Jordan Grace. I thought that this very much showcased what they could do best, and the other guys, Chris Bay and Mike Seidel, no relation, didn't get in much offense, and I thought that that's what it should have been. This is a match to showcase the talents of the Rascals, and it's great to see Desmond Xavier back on Impact Wrestling, practically towards the top as one of my faves on Impact Wrestling. You know what I think about the guy? If you've been following me for a long time, you know I think that guy's great. And I think he's set for great things in Impact Wrestling. So I thought it was a phenomenal match. I showcased the Rascals really well. The finishing move, the standing moonsault and push from Desmond Xavier is just fantastic. It rivals the double stump fear factor that Pentagon and Phoenix does. I really like it. So the Rascals picked up the victory. I'm very much excited to see where they go next with the Rascals. Next up, I have Dark Alley. I love Dark Alley, and Kara was out pleading for Alley to come back to fight the darkness. And look, I'm sorry, Kara, but Dark Alley is here to stay. I like Dark Alley, and the interview, meh. Kara did as well as she could, but I wasn't really feeling the interview, but I am feeling Dark Alley, and I want her to stay. Next up, speaking of not feeling things, the Eddie Edwards segment in the mental institution. I was not interested into this whatsoever. They tried. Lucha was there, then Moose was there, and he read a book to Eddie Edwards, and I didn't really feel this whatsoever at all. And Moose, he tried as well. And I gotta say that this Moose Eddie Edwards thing kind of took a weird turn, and Eddie Edwards is now in a mental institution. We'll see how this all plays out. Moose read a book, like I said, Moose read a book to him that anything is possible. I didn't really feel it, but I'm willing to give it a chance to see how it all turns out. The next takeaway is that this third eye stuff with Matt Sydal is really becoming stale. I gotta say that this segment overall, Matt Sydal started to doubt himself, and he talked about how it wasn't working and how they would face off for a shot at Ultimate X. I gotta say that if this segment is leading to Matt Sydal ditching the third eye stuff and going back to the Sydal that was all about the in-ring, not about the extra stuff, then I'm all for it. Then I'll give a hand clap on that one. If it's all about turning Matt Sydal into the Matt Sydal he was when he first debuted for Impact, then I am all for it. My next takeaway is that, look, there was way too much talking on this episode of Impact Wrestling, and I'll get to this in my overall takeaway of the show, but way too much talking going on for my taste, especially a show in the 10 Eastern time frame. Also, moving on, my next takeaway is that Tommy Dreamer is in the main event in 2018, and I gotta say that Eli Drake versus Tommy Dreamer, man, it's not so much that it was a horrible match. There was some spots in the match that I thought was interesting, but overall, I didn't like the match. And Tommy Dreamer in the main event in an extended match, a longer match that went into the double-digit time frame, is not so much a good idea. The count out and turn and make into a no disqualification match, that's a good idea to protect Tommy Dreamer. But even once it got into a no disqualification match, once they came off the break, the match wasn't all that interesting to me. I didn't have a great pace whatsoever. And Eli Drake would go on to pick up the victory. And I gotta say that Tommy Dreamer in the main event in 2018, I don't have anything against Tommy Dreamer. I like it when he's in his segments. If they keep it towards segments and shorter matches with Tommy Dreamer, I don't have a problem with it. But main eventing in 2018 in a double-digit time match is not the greatest thing in the world for me. I didn't really like the main event, to be honest. So after that, we had Eli Drake backstage. He found a gift. He read a card, and he was freaked out by the card. And we'll see. He left us on a hook for the end of the show last night. We'll see how it all turns out. So those are my takeaways from the Impact Wrestling show. Overall, I gotta be honest, I didn't like the show overall, if I'm being totally honest with you. I'm not very much a negative guy when it comes to Impact, but this show, I did not like it overall. And I thought the Lucha Brothers versus Mack and Rich Swann was a phenomenal match. But overall, the show, that was too much talking for me overall. And I gotta say that, like I said, a show that's in the 10 Eastern time zone going all the way to midnight, you can't have that much talking. You gotta have the action flowing, because there are times when I look at Impact and then when it has that much talking, it's very tough to stay up for. But I stay up for it because I know that most times I'm gonna come and review it or give my takeaways. And I can see that sometimes for a casual watching fan, sometimes they may check out on that because it's too much talking. So more action I would implore from Impact overall. So, I mean, all of the talking isn't the norm from Impact, but this recent episode, there was too much talking, and the matches itself, they had a lot of showcases as opposed to matches. And I understood it. The Rascals had to get showcased. Talia had a squash match, which led to an angle with Taya and Tessa. So I understood that, and Jordan Grace had to get showcased as well. It just so happens that the negative thing is that they were all on one show. So we had all of those showcases as opposed to one real legitimate match, and that was LAX and the Lucha Bros. And we had another legitimate match with the main event. It just didn't go over well at all. So that's my overall thoughts for Impact Wrestling. Those are my takeaways as well. Let me know down below your thoughts on the most recent episode of Impact Wrestling, whether that be in the comments of YouTube or on Twitter at OMGCoreyB or at the number 2 Sweet Pod. That's 2 Sweet Pod. Let me know your thoughts. I am out.